You ever have one of those days where you think, okay, maybe humanity isn't doomed, and then someone confidently asks the internet whether fish get thirsty or if they can microwave a snowman? It's like watching curiosity wrestle common sense in a parking lot and lose spectacularly. These aren't the questions whispered in embarrassment at 3 a.m. No, these were typed proudly, decisively, as if Google were a patient kindergarten teacher and not a search engine trying its best to hold civilization together. And the wild part? These are just the warm up acts, the real cognitive fireworks. Yeah, they're still ahead. 1. Someone once Googled, "Can I get brain damage from thinking too hard?" And honestly, what a gorgeous paradox. The question itself is the closest they've come to testing the theory. I imagine them sitting there, brow furrowed, terrified they were about to accidentally overclock their brain like a thrift store PC running Windows 98. The best part is that they probably clicked multiple links, comparing answers like they were researching a medical condition instead of asking whether thoughts can physically punch you in the skull. If brain damage were caused by thinking too hard, the person who typed this would be the safest human alive. But bless them, they were at least trying to think. A rare vintage behavior these days. 2. My personal favorite. How do I tell if my cat is planning to kill me? Not joking, full seriousness, typed by a human adult with fingers and Wi Fi. And look, I get it. Cats stare at you like they're calculating your resale value, but the mental image of someone nervously Googling this while their cat watches from the doorway like a tiny furry mafia boss. Priceless. As if Google's going to reply, "Yes, Karen, your cat has been sharpening knives at night." Here's the truth. If your cat wanted you gone, you wouldn't be Googling anything. You'd just find your socks mysteriously placed at the top of the stairs one morning. But sure, ask the search engine. It's probably safer than asking the cat. 3. And then there's the absolute treasure who Googled, "If I eat myself, do I become twice as big or disappear?" This one is so beautifully stupid, it feels like a philosophical meltdown, written by someone whose entire concept of biology comes from Looney Tunes. Imagine being so confused by the idea of metabolism that you start entertaining the possibility of becoming a recursive meat loop. The question reads like someone tried to reboot their brain mid-sentence. It's not physics, it's not logic, it's a cry for a nap. If this person ever learns about black holes, they're going to combust on the spot. But hey, at least they're curious, aggressively, catastrophically curious. 4. Someone genuinely typed, "Can you get arrested for yelling at bread in the grocery store?" And you just know this came from personal experience. No one asks that preemptively. Something happened in aisle 5, and it wasn't pretty. I imagine them screaming at a loaf of sourdough that wronged them emotionally, only to notice a nearby employee reaching for the phone. So they retreated, sat in their car, and, like any modern philosopher, turned to Google for legal counsel. The answer, by the way, depends entirely on how loud you yelled, whether you threw the bread, and how many confused toddlers witnessed the incident. Civilization is hanging by a gluten thread. 5. A genuinely stressed person once asked Google, "Can you overdose on vitamins if you take them emotionally?" Listen, I want vitamins that work emotionally. I want a multivitamin that hugs me and says everything's fine. But the idea that emotions could somehow intensify the dosage, that's a whole new branch of science. Imagine a doctor warning, "Be careful if you're feeling dramatic today. Half a gummy." I picture this person clutching a bottle of vitamin C like it's a breakup text, wondering if sincerity affects absorption rates. Honestly, if emotional vitamins were real, every influencer on earth would be selling them for $89.99 a bottle with names like Calm Glow Spiritual Defense. 6. Someone somewhere typed, "Is it illegal to name your baby Fridge?" The fact that enough people Googled this that auto-suggest completes the sentence is horrifying. I love that humans looked at a helpless newborn and thought, appliances, that's the vibe. And the cherry on top? They weren't concerned about ruining the kid's life. They were worried about the law. As if a judge is out there slamming a gavel shouting, No dairy storage names in my court. Honestly, with the state of baby names today, fridge is practically classy. It's at least better than naming a human after a fruit, a season, or whatever Scrabble tiles fall out of a cup. 7. Another classic, do fish get thirsty? This one is so innocent yet so spectacularly misguided. Someone genuinely imagined trout sitting underwater thinking, man, I could really go for a glass of water right now. The logic breakdown is delightful. Fish are literally in water, surrounded by water, breathing water, and yet someone believed they might crave additional water like they're at a poolside bar. Google even has scientific articles about it because apparently enough people have this concern. Meanwhile, the fish are just trying not to get eaten. Not once in the history of the ocean has a tuna complained about dehydration. 8. And then we have, can a ghost legally break into your house? This is either a terrified person or someone who's watched too many low-budget paranormal shows hosted by guys named Travis. But think about it. They weren't asking whether ghosts exist. They weren't asking if ghosts can harm you. They were asking if a ghost can violate property law, as if spirits are required to respect trespassing regulations. Imagine a phantom hovering outside your bedroom window, checking Google Maps for zoning restrictions. If your first instinct during a haunting is, what's the legal angle here? Congratulations, you are exactly the kind of person who becomes an HOA president. 9. Someone once Googled, can I get sunburned through Wi-Fi? And it rearranged my understanding of human intelligence. I love the implication that wireless internet is somehow a tiny portable sun laser. The person probably sat next to their router for 10 minutes, felt slightly warm, and panicked like they were being slow roasted by Netflix. They probably also think Bluetooth gives you frostbite and AirDrop causes migraines. Listen, if Wi-Fi could burn you, half the planet would be walking around with rotor-shaped tan lines. And honestly, we deserve that world. 10. A masterpiece of confusion. If I eat raw spaghetti, will it grow in my stomach? This is the kind of question that can only be asked by someone who has never won an argument in their entire life. They must have pictured uncooked noodles sprouting like a botanical garden in their torso. At what point would they notice? Would their belly wiggle? Would marinara cravings spike? This is the same energy as kids believing watermelon seeds grow into trees inside you. Except this was typed by an adult with internet access, possibly on a smartphone worth $1,200. 11. One user typed, can you hide from a drone by standing still like a T-Rex can't see you? Which tells me Jurassic Park has done irreversible damage to our species. The idea that a military-grade drone could be defeated by simply freezing. Majestic. Imagine someone outdoors, motionless, arms glued to their sides, while the drone operator just stares like, sir, I can still see you. You're literally right there. Even the T-Rex thing wasn't true, but sure, Google a strategy for fooling a flying robot with a 4K camera. Humans are thriving. 12. Another gem. Can I sue myself if I get injured doing something stupid? The dedication, the self-awareness, the ambition. This is someone who understands their own stupidity so deeply they're trying to monetize it. I picture them slipping on a banana peel they placed themselves, then standing up like, that's it, see you in court, me. Google probably had to whisper, no, honey, that's not how lawsuits work. But imagine the legal precedent. Half the country would instantly retire by suing themselves for lost emotional value. 13. And of course, why does my reflection look like me? Someone genuinely asked this with their whole chest. They stared into a mirror and were shocked to find their face staring back. What did they expect? A guest appearance? A plot twist? I love imagining the moment they leaned in, concerned that the mirror was broken because it wasn't offering variety. If mirrors didn't reflect you, then we'd have a problem. But sure, Google it. Maybe the reflection will answer next time. 14. One user seriously Googled, can I train my dog to do my taxes? And listen, emotionally relatable. Dogs are loyal, hardworking, and significantly more competent than half the people calling customer service. But the fact someone genuinely wondered if TurboTax had a golden retriever mode is stunning. Imagine a dog pawing at a calculator while you hover over them like a proud parent. The IRS would send a letter back that simply reads, "Stop." The dream is beautiful, but unless your dog has a side hustle as a CPA, you're stuck filing your own taxes like the rest of us. 15. Finally, a cosmic disaster of a question. If Earth is spinning, why can't I feel it? Is it because I'm not paying attention? Oh, yes. The planet rotates at 1,000 miles per hour, but apparently humans can counteract that with simple inattentiveness. Imagine thinking Earth's rotation works like a whisper. You just need to listen closely, maybe press your ear to the ground. I guarantee this person also believes airplanes stay up because they flap their wings. The Earth's spin is constant. Your ability to perceive reality is less so. But hey, points for trying to be mindful. 16. Someone once Googled, "Can my reflection steal my identity?" And I immediately knew this person had lost at least 3 arguments with their own bathroom mirror. You have to picture them brushing their teeth, locking eyes with themselves, and thinking, he looks suspicious. The level of paranoia is incredible. Imagining your reflection climbing out like a soggy horror movie clone and applying for credit cards. Meanwhile, the real threat to their identity is the 57 quizzes they've taken on Facebook to find out what type of pancake are you. But sure, blame the mirror. Honestly, if their reflection did steal their identity, it would probably live a more responsible life. At least the reflection remembers to floss. 17. Then there's the moment someone frantically typed, "Can owls be police officers?" Which raises so many follow-up concerns, I don't even know where to begin. The seriousness of the question is what gets me, as if they expected a formal legal answer instead of Google gently patting them on the head. Owls barely follow bird laws, much less human ones, but imagine the possibilities. An owl writing speeding tickets, perched on the dashboard, fully judging your life choices. An owl knocking on your door like, "Sir, do you know why I hooted you today?" And the fact that someone considered this plausible just tells me they've outsourced all their decision-making to Pixar movies. Nature already gave owls night vision, silence, and judgmental faces. Giving them authority is the last thing we need. 18. One user actually asked, "If I scream loud enough, can I heat my house?" And I've never wanted to see a scientific experiment more. Imagine their winter energy plan. No insulation, no fireplace, just them standing in the living room, shrieking like a banshee to raise the temperature by a single degree. Somewhere, an engineer felt a disturbance in the force. The idea that vocal cords could replace electricity is beautiful, catastrophic, but beautiful. They probably imagined themselves as a human space heater powered entirely by panic. Meanwhile, physics is in the corner sobbing softly. And honestly, if screaming created warmth, toddlers would be heating entire neighborhoods. At least then their chaos would be environmentally friendly. 19. Someone once Googled, "Can a plant get jealous if I buy a new one?" Which tells me they've absolutely apologized to a fern before. The emotional projection here is Olympic level. They truly believe plants are in the corner plotting revenge because the new pothos gets more sunlight. I imagine this person whispering to their ficus, "Don't worry, you're still my favorite," while misting it like it's a distraught toddler. Meanwhile, all the plant wants is dirt, water, and not to be slowly murdered by someone who forgets it exists for 3 weeks. Plants don't get jealous, they get dry. But at least this person cares enough to worry, unlike the millions of succulents who died tragic, crunchy deaths on neglected windowsills everywhere. 20. One of my favorites. Can pigeons understand Wi-Fi? I love that someone believes birds are out there logging onto networks and judging our password strength. Imagine a pigeon perched on your balcony, squinting at your router name like, "Wow, pretty fly for a Wi-Fi. Really, Brenda?" The question alone assumes pigeons have been quietly reverse engineering cybersecurity protocols while pooping on statues. I also love that the person didn't ask if pigeons use Wi Fi. They asked if they understand it, as if pigeons spend their evenings debating bandwidth. Meanwhile, the birds themselves are just trying to find crumbs and survive Tuesday. Honestly, if pigeons understood Wi Fi better than we do, I wouldn't even be surprised anymore. 21. And then someone typed, if I boil water in the microwave, does it become microwave water? Which is a philosophical disaster masquerading as a question. Microwave water, as if appliances imprint their personality onto liquids. I imagine them staring at their mug afterward like it's radioactive soup that must now obey different laws of nature. They probably think stove water tastes more natural because it's artisanal or something. This is the same logic people use when they insist their bottled water brand just hits different. It's water. It doesn't know who heated it. It doesn't care. But the person who asked absolutely cares. They care enough to mentally assign water its own zodiac sign, depending on the appliance that birthed it. 22. Someone genuinely Googled, can ants get depressed? And honestly, I admire how quickly they escalated from noticing one ant walking funny to diagnosing it with seasonal affective disorder. Ants live in a never ending cycle of lifting crumbs 5 times their body weight and never having a day off. If anything deserves depression, it's them. But imagining an ant lying in bed refusing to go to work is hilarious. The queen calling tiny ant HR, demanding answers. And the fact that a person watched ants for maybe 5 seconds and thought, something seems emotionally off with Steve, is peak human projection. The real question should be, why are you staring at ants long enough to worry about this? 23. One user typed, if I shave a bear, will it get cold? And I need everyone to take a moment and imagine the logistics of shaving a bear. The question alone screams, I've never interacted with nature and I never will. Bears aren't Labradors. You don't put them on a grooming table. And the idea that someone was picturing a fully shaved bear just wandering the forest like a giant, confused raw chicken is both horrifying and hilarious. Yes, it would get cold. Yes, it would also eat you, possibly in that order. Nature didn't give bears fur because it's fashionable. But if anyone actually attempts this, please leave a note behind explaining your motives so the rangers have closure. 24. Someone earnestly Googled, can I teach my Roomba to recognize my emotions? Which tells me we are wildly unprepared for AI anything. The Roomba doesn't even know it's a Roomba. It bumps into walls for a living. It doesn't have emotional bandwidth. It barely has directional bandwidth. Imagine someone crying on the couch while the Roomba gently bumps into their foot, like mood detected vacuum sadness. The idea that a vacuum cleaner could replace therapy is so beautifully delusional. I almost respect it. This person is one firmware update away from falling in love with a toaster. 25. And then we have the legend who Googled, can clouds fall? Which makes me wonder what traumatic weather event they witnessed to make them think the entire sky might just drop. The mental image is incredible. Strolling outside, hearing a thud, and realizing cumulonimbus just face planted onto the sidewalk. Clouds do fall in the form of rain, but this person was clearly imagining the sky malfunctioning like a Windows update. I picture them sprinting indoors every time the weather gets gloomy, afraid the atmosphere is held up by duct tape and good intentions. Honestly, with how things are going, give it a year and I might believe it too. 26. Someone once asked, if I run at the same speed as Earth spins, can I time travel? And I want to hug whatever high school science teacher failed them. The Earth spins at roughly 1,000 miles per hour, so unless you're the Flash, you're basically jogging in place. But the image of someone sprinting down the street, convinced their Fitbit is about to fold them into a wormhole, is fantastic. I hope they tried it. I hope their neighbors watched from the window, deeply concerned, yet unable to look away. Time travel isn't happening, but cardio absolutely did. 27. Then there's the person who Googled, can I cook pasta on my car engine while driving? which is either a genius life hack or the beginning of a lawsuit. They probably saw one video about engine block cooking and immediately assumed their Honda Civic was a Michelin star kitchen. The idea of someone stirring sauce under the hood during a red light is the kind of chaos that makes me think humans should not have free will. Yes, you can technically cook food with engine heat, but one sudden stop and congratulations, you've invented pasta grenades. Gordon Ramsay would simply scream. 28. Someone seriously asked, if the moon follows me, should I be worried? And I truly envy that level of innocence. Imagining the moon as a clingy ex-boyfriend tailing your car down the interstate is powerful energy. The moon isn't following you. You're just on the same planet, sharing line of sight with a giant rock. But try explaining that to someone who saw it hovering above the highway and thought, great, now I'm being stalked by astronomy. Honestly, if the moon did follow people selectively, that would make weather forecasts far more dramatic. 29. A personal favorite, can trees understand music? Which I actually hope is true just so they can judge our playlists. Imagine a tree listening to someone blast breakup songs and thinking, wow, she's going through it again. The person who Googled this probably whispered apologies to their houseplants after playing heavy metal too loudly. Trees don't care what you listen to. They're too busy photosynthesizing and plotting to drop acorns on your car. But I appreciate the optimism. It's nice to think your maple has opinions. 30. Someone once Googled, can I make my dog bilingual? And the confidence in that question is inspiring. Dogs barely listen in one language, but this person wanted to expand their curriculum. Imagine them sitting with their dog, pointing at flashcards demanding the correct pronunciation of gâteau. Meanwhile, the dog is staring at them like, buddy, I eat socks. Dogs respond to tone, not vocab lists, but I admire the ambition. Somewhere, a golden retriever is being raised as a trilingual prodigy while still somehow eating drywall. 31. And finally, we reach the masterpiece. Can I take my house with me if I move, or do I need to ask permission from the government? This isn't someone talking about mobile homes. This is someone imagining detaching their house like a Lego piece and dragging it down the street like a stubborn toddler in a wagon. The sheer confidence of assuming houses are portable is breathtaking. And then the follow-up fear. Will the government be mad? Yes, yes, they will. Mostly because you're about to cause the world's biggest traffic jam while hauling a 3-bedroom ranch behind your Prius. But honestly, at least you're thinking ahead. And there it is, proof that our species isn't doomed by asteroids or AI, but by people who think mirrors steal identities, and clouds might fall on them like overdue ceiling tiles. If you've witnessed anything even dumber, toss it in the comments so we can all question reality together. And go ahead, vote for the most forehead-slappings moment of the day. Like, subscribe, do the ritual. We both know the chaos only gets weirder from here.